You will increase your efficiency 20% if you learn to do the tough things first, the ones you don't want to do.
Ray Zinn now imparts his management philosophy in Tough Things First. In this series, Zinn covers it all, from the essence of human happiness.
If you're going to make it a consistent practice of working Saturdays just because you think you've got to work 80 hours a week to be successful, you're just flat out wrong.
To the downside of venture capital.
People said, well, don't sweat the small things. Well, I guarantee if you don't sweat the small things, the big things are going to become a mess.
And the essence of entrepreneurial discipline.
Don't want to wait until you jump off the cliff to grab a parachute.
Now here's Ray Zinn, Silicon Valley's longest-serving CEO. Welcome back to the Tough Things First podcast, where we face the hard truths of leadership, business, and life with Ray Zinn, the longest-serving CEO in Silicon Valley history. Hello, Ray.
Hi, Rob.
Ray, this is a special edition of the Tough Things First podcast. It is on video, and I'd like to invite our listeners to toughthingsfirst.com. There is a whole link to, or not link, but a pull-down menu for the podcast. So we have all the history of our podcasts there, and you can check out any podcast you want. But if you find this one and you look at the little Watch Now button, you can click on that, and it'll take you to Ray's YouTube channel. And people will go there and watch, and they usually turn out really, really good. So watch now if you want, or just keep on listening. Ray.
And please share and subscribe to this. We would love your support.
Yeah, exactly. So, Ray, you guided Mike Corral through 37 years, profitable, 8 major semiconductor downturns along that time. That's what I understand, without ever really relying on venture capital. So today we turn to the attention to the present economy, which is really wild to navigate. At the time of this recording, which is late March, just about the April 1st almost, and it looks like growth is holding is about mid 2% range, and the labor market cooled off a little bit. Unemployment about 4.4%. Inflation remained about kind of a somewhat sticky above the Fed's target, and there's ongoing debate around interest rates, policy shifts, and of course, Iran is looming large because of the oil situation. It's not a crisis, but it's not smooth sailing either. Agreed?
Yes, well, because there's a lot of components to having a good economy. I'm asked often, because I am an economist educationally and also from work, they say, well, how is the economy? And so if you read the news or if you hear the polling and so forth, they say, oh, the economy is the number one problem. And so it's a focus. When you focus on something, you tend to really put a lot of emphasis on it. That's why we call it a focus. And so currently, according to the polls, the economy is the number one issue. But there's something interesting here about this. The stock market is still up and still strong. Interest rates, albeit are higher than we'd like to see them, are kind of the average we've had for the last 50 years. The interest rate average over the last 50 years is 4.3%. And we're a little bit below that. And so, here we are. The interest rates aren't all that bad if you look at it historically. Labor, the unemployment is kind of where it is. I mean, it's not terrible. It's kind of the average of what we've experienced over the last 50 years. Inflation is about where it has averages for the last 50 years. So if you look at all the metrics associated with what we call a stable economy, the economy is stable. Granted, we all like to see prices come down. We like to see interest rates come down. We like to see unemployment down, and we like to see gas prices especially down. They were down until a month ago when we had this conflict with Iran. But we need not focus on something that's not really an issue, even though the news media would like to conjure it up as an issue and get a lot of press going on it. A lot of people watching the news, as you would. It's somewhat dishonest because if we look at things in terms of kind of averages, and that's kind of what we do, then we can compare them with where we are or where we should be. And honestly, Robbie, the everything's kind of normal. I mean, the stock market is doing relatively well. Interest rates are at their historical average. Unemployment, historical average. Inflation, historical average. And so that should not be a focal point because you don't want to focus on something that's not out of whack as you would, even though the news media would cause you to believe they're out of whack for for their own reasons. It's just not true. The economy is not the number one issue. In my mind, the number one issue is really, this verbal civil war we're having among political constituents, and so with all this rioting and demonstration and attacks on one another, this is more of a concern uh, to me. We need to figure out how to work together, how to overcome our differences, or at least mitigate our differences. That's maybe a better way to put it, so that we don't have these verbal civil wars. These are never good. Verbal civil wars are terrible, and we can't uh, keep attacking each other if we're going to have a successful life. That's really where we get peace and joy go together, and we can't have peace and joy if we don't have peace. And so let's focus on what's really important, working together, getting together, you know, focusing on the good points, and let's stop this verbal civil war that we're doing.
Well, let's shift gears a little bit and guide it back down to kind of looking at the present economy and what business leaders or even households should consider. What are the biggest risks right now or opportunities you see for companies trying to grow profitably at the moment?
Well, they are profitable. I mean, most companies are doing quite well, but to the focus, of course, is to continue operating in a profitable manner. This who moved the cheese thing about keeping up to date of the cycles that we're in. So typically, the economic cycle runs somewhere between 3 and 5 years. In other words, we go up for 3 or 5 years, and then it goes down. But what's interesting is that we only go down for about a year or two, and then because we fight so hard, it's kind of like how long can you hold your head below water? You can always hold your head above water and no problem, but when you start pushing your head below water, then you fight to get back up, and so it's kind of like what Socrates said. We took the student out into the lake and said, "Hey, the student want to know how do I get more knowledge?" And Socrates held his head underwater for a period of time until he started to flail his arm back and forth, and he lifted him out and he says, "Student, what did you want more than anything else when your head was underwater?" And he says, "I wanted air." So we all want air, and so when we push our head underwater, we tend to come out quicker. So even though the upside is 3 to 5 years, the downside is only like 1 to 2 years because we fight to get our economy back on track. Yeah, and so that's the key. Is if you do hit a downturn, and you will, I mean that's a normal cycle. You go up for a few years, and then you go down for a year or two. So, but we do fight very, very hard to get the economy at least back on track.
Yeah, and you have lots of experience following that over the years, up and down cycles. I mean, they just happen. Ray, let's invite the listeners to rate this podcast on their favorite platform. And you mentioned last time that you would like them to invite their friends to listen.
Yes, please. Please share.
If you're facing your own tough leadership challenges in your organization or even your home, you can visit toughthingsfirst.com. For more wisdom from Ray Zinn, also check out the links to his social media, and the books. Thanks again, Ray.
Thanks, Rob. Good to be with you.
You've been listening to the Tough Things First podcast, proud to introduce Ray Zinn's new book, Zen of Zinn Daily, available in paperback and digital formats where books are sold.